Namaste everyone. I'm Manus Potnis and I'm a sophomore at Penn State University and I'm majoring in finance. So I'm the president for Penn State Harrisburg Hindu Yuva. So our organization is briefly summarized by its name. Yuva is an acronym that stands for Youth for Unity, Virtues, Actions. Um, and here at Penn State, we aim to preserve and practice and promote our Hindu values and create a place on campus for Hindus to practice and express their identity freely. We are a group uh, of individuals that take action in order to bring people together and uphold values of respect and gratitude. Some of the events we have hosted in the past include Ganesh Utsav and Namaste Harrisburg and many more, which celebrate a vibrant Hindu identity. Today, Penn State Harrisburg Hindu Yuva is hosting its first Ram Navami. Ram Navami is a Hindu spring festival that celebrates the birth of Lord Ram, the seventh avatar of God Vishnu. In the Hindu faith, Ram is considered the ideal man and is worshipped by Hindus across the globe. The day is marked by Ram Katha recitals or reading of Ram stories, doing kirtans, and singing bhajans. So today, we are going to celebrate Ram Navami similarly by having Shantanuji speak about the characteristics of Lord Rama in the daily lives of students. I'll now hand it over to Shambhavi.
My name is Shambhavi Chaudhary, and I'm incredibly excited to welcome you to this program. I'm the vice president for this club. I'm a sophomore and currently studying in Penn State. Shantanu Gupta is the founder of the Ramayana School, an Indian author, TEDx speaker, and a political analyst. You can see him daily on TV debates on all leading channels of India. He is a published author with renowned publications like Sage, Bloomsbury, and Rupa Publication. Ed Shantanu has an engineering degree from JB Pant University, India, management education from Accelerate Jamshedpur, India, and did his master's in policy and politics from Institute of Development Studies, IDS, University of Sussex, United Kingdom. Shantanu has worked for a decade as a process and management consultant in many cities in India, Switzerland, Cyprus, Hungary, and Israel. He has represented India in many international conferences on economy and policy in Germany, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. Handing it over to Shantanu for the talk, which will be followed by questions.
Namaskar. Am I audible? Am I audible, Mishit? Okay, thank you. Uh, so on the outset, happy Ram Navami to all. We celebrated Ram Navami in India a couple of days back. In fact, yesterday it was one more festival, it was Hanuman Jayanti. So right, so we are sitting on the birthdays of two giants, heroes of India, right? Ramji and Hanumanji. Okay, so let me share my screen. Meanwhile, just give me a second so that I have asked my artist to create some lovely artwork for you. And I'll ask for a prompt. Is my screen visible? Is my screen visible? The very colorful one, right? I personally love this artwork. Yeah, just can I just exit and check, do a small check? Yeah. Okay, just give me a small check. Sorry, I should have done it earlier. I think that's fine. Okay. Hopefully all of you are safe and healthy. The second wave of COVID is doing little trouble in India currently as I speak. Okay. So this is a tool called Menti, and I want all of you also to, how can I share? Can I share something on the chat window? Can I?
I don't think the Penn State Zoom lets us use the chat technology.
Okay, okay. So I'm sure all of you can do this then. Go to this website, www.menti.com. It's written on the top if it's readable. Is it readable on the top? On my screen? Yeah.
Yes, it
So
is.
I request all the participants to go to www.menti.com and it will ask for a code. Otherwise, I would have given a direct link in the chat. where this you need not do this code punching thing, but now all the participants, not only organizers, everyone, can you all come? Yeah. Yeah. And if more of you can put your videos on, it'll be lovely. From last 1 year, we are speaking to the computer. It'll be lovely to speak to people. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Vijit, anyone of you able to get into the Menti thing?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, right?
I
Okay,
am.
okay. So yeah, so okay. So www.menti.com and use this long code 766933872. And this line will be constantly coming. So if any point of time you come out, you can go enter, right? Okay. So next 20-25 minutes I'll spend on a couple of lessons that we can learn from this text called Ramayana, and then we'll take open questions and answer. Normally, I do a 10 weeks credit course with Hindu University of America and other platforms. I'm just trying to give you a gist and summary of it because Ramayana is a massive text, right? We can't do justice to it in 20-25 minutes. Am I audible properly? Right? Is my accent speed okay? Right? See, accent I can't do much at this point in life, but again, speed I can manage maybe. Yeah. Okay. 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 So let's call leadership lesson, life lessons from Ramayana. And I just want to know which city, state, country are you all living in right now? And there's also a test that are you all on the link? And again, if you don't understand this link thing, go to www.menti.com and use the code 766938872. Right? I think this 1 year has taught us so many online tools. Okay, okay, okay. So I think if I understand, if it's Penn State's Hindu Yuva, so largely people are from Penn, right? Or okay, okay, I understand. Okay, 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 okay. This gives me a sense. This gives me a sense. Okay, okay, lovely. Okay. Just to know, to start with, do you all know the basic story of Ramayana? Like Ramji was born in Ayodhya, he got married to Mata Sita, then they got exile, and then Mata Sita got kidnapped in jungle, and Hanumanji helped searching Mata Sita, and then there's a war between Ram and Ravana got eliminated. Like only like on the outside, right? Okay, okay. Because yeah, in my longish course we cover story by story, but again here I just try to touch upon, right? So I assume you know largely the story, if not the every detail. Okay, that gives me a sense. And from where did you learn your Ramayana? Because 84% of you told you know Ramayana. So one of the prominent source for people is Ramanand Sagarji's TV Ramayana that comes in Hindi, or the original text Valmiki Ramayana, or one of the later adaptations Tulsi Ramayana, or some comic book, storybook, Amar Chit Katha being a very important source for many, or India's very famous tradition. We call it an oral tradition, which is parents and grandparents, right? How verbally, orally, we are transferring information from ages, right? Uh-huh. Okay. See these, you're all able to see the graphs coming on my screen, right? Yeah. So I think this makes me happy and a little sad. Happy because all of you know it, but again, no one has read the original source, right? Which is we all say in humanities, right? Read the original text. So the original text is Valmiki Ramayana and the 24,000 shlokas of it, right? I know it's a big text. Yeah. So hopefully my talk today may push you, may motivate you, may inspire you to read the larger original text. Okay, so because you already know Ramayana, so can I test you with all your permission? Can I do a small test? Right. Sorry, I'll be keep sipping water. It's my early morning routine. So yeah, don't mind, please. Okay, Okay, so it will ask for your name and a prompt. So do enter your name and join a small quiz so that we'll just warm up, right? Okay, okay, okay. So let me start the quiz. It will give you, I think, 3-4 options for every question. And this quiz is also crafted keeping in mind to make you learn. Who wrote original Ramayana? Rishi Valmiki, Rishi Vashishta, Rishi Vedavyasa, Rishi Vishwamitra. Who wrote original Ramayana? Okay, 93% of you are right. And the idea is who wrote original Ramayana, meaning there are other Ramayanas also, right? That's why I'm referring to original Ramayana. So original Ramayana was written by Rishi Valmiki, who was a, okay, that may be another question, right? I was about to give the answer. So Rishi Valmiki has written this around 14,000 years back, meaning there are various other adaptations of Ramayana. And Tulsi Ramayana is one of the very famous adaptations of Ramayana, right? Which is written very recently. Like it's written 500 years back, but recently based on the large horizon. Because as per Dr. Nilesh Ogji's dating, the Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana is almost 14,000 years old, right? And then now people have done very meticulous scientific dating of Ramayana. Okay, having said that, let me ask you one more question. Let me ask you one more. Okay, on your screens. Was Rishi Valmiki contemporary of Lord Rama? Like, were they living and occurring at the same time on earth? Rishi Valmiki, the author of the book, and Lord Rama, the hero, the protagonist of the story. Were they occurring on the earth at the same time? The answer is yes. In fact, if you read Valmiki Ramayana, there are conversations between them, right? Between Rishi Valmiki. And you know, an interesting fact, Ramayana was written when almost whole of the story was over, right? So when Rama has come back from the war, back in Ayodhya, and he became the king, right? Then Ramayana was written, right? In fact, it starts, you know how it starts. So Rishi Valmiki and Narad Muni is having this conversation, right? And Rishi Valmiki is asking Narad Muni that do we have someone living on this earth who has this XYZ qualities? And he's talking about every good quality that a surviving human being should have, right? That he should have courage, he should not get angry, he should respect the other, he should be very skillful, right? A lot of that, these 10 qualities. And then Narad Muni said, yeah, there is one person called Ram who's the king of Ayodhya, right? You should check him out and write about him, right? And then that's how Ramayana happened. The story writing part happened. Okay, let me check. Let me ask you some more. Okay, on your screens. Okay, Valmiki Ramayana is written in which language, right? We are trying to decipher the text. We know the author. Now we should know the original language. If you want to, you may want to read in the original language. Sanskrit, Pali, Awadhi, Hindi. It's written in Sanskrit. It's written in Sanskrit, right? So if you want to read the original text, it's a good idea to be a master in Sanskrit to understand it. Otherwise you are slave to some translation. And you don't know how. And see, a lot of Indian history is twisted in these translations. I'm sure you all know it. Valmiki Ramayana has about how many shlokas? If you were careful, I've already told this. If you were careful, 1008, 1008, 24,000, 5,000. It's 24,000 shlokas. That's a massive text, right? So even if you read 50 of them a day, right? It'll take almost 480 days, almost 1.5, 2 years, right? And 50 a day itself is quite a target, right? When I say read means you read it, you understand the meaning, right? So in fact, at this point, I want to tell, if you can note that down, valmikiramayana.net. That's a beautiful website which has done like shloka The shloka is written in Sanskrit in the Devanagari Lipi, then it's written in English, the transliteration, then the chanting of shloka. There's a small voice file that you can play, and then word by word meaning, and then the overall meaning, right? This is how they have treated with one shloka, and then 24,000 shlokas, right? Beautifully done. You should check those website. Keep it open always in your laptop. At least like 50 a day is quite a target, right? Take it a target of 3-4 years, and at least try 10-20 a day, right? And then discuss it in the family over breakfast, over lunch, over dinner, and then you will realize it's amazing text. Take an inquiry in mind, right? Inquiry like, what do you want to find out? Because you can find out various things from Ramayana, right? So do this inquiry, and this website valmikiramayana.net is a beautiful part of such an inquiry. Okay, so we are going to talk about a text which has 24,000 shlokas, a massive text. Okay, let me check something more. Valmiki Ramayana is divided into 7 parts. What are these parts called? Right? What are these parts called? Sargas, shlokas, kandas, or parvs. The whole book is divided into 7 parts. What are these parts called? These are called kands, right? One of the very famous kand you might have heard is called Sundar Kand. Why? Because there is a lot of chanting and recitation of Sundar Kand of Tulsi Ramayana, not of Valmiki Ramayana though still. And you know, Tulsi Ramayana was written recently, 500 years. So for Indian history, 500 years is recent, right? Because our history is thousands and thousands of years. So it was written when Mughals were invaded and were ruling in India, some part of India. Then it was written for a particular purpose, because by the time the learning of Sanskrit have reduced, right? Because our universities was broken by Islamic invaders, and Avadhi was very common. So he wanted to establish the legend of Ramayana back. So he translated the Sanskrit text of Valmiki Ramayana into the Avadhi text of Ramcharitmanas, and it became very, very popular the way it's written. I'm sure you all know Hanuman Chalisa, right? You all know Hanuman Chalisa. Hanuman Chalisa is also written by the same author, Acharya Tulsidas. Okay. Okay, let me ask you. Now we know about kands, that the whole Ramayana is divided into 7 kands. In which kand of Valmiki Ramayana Mata Sita was kidnapped? A very crucial event, right? The whole story was turned on his head after that. Which kand was that? Bal Kand, Kishkinda Kand, Yuddh Kand, or Aranya Kand? Aranya Kand it was. And Aranya means jungle. Aranya means jungle. Okay. Let me ask you something more. In which kand Rama is born, right? For story to start, our protagonist should take birth, right? In which kand did that happen? Yuddha Kand, Ayodhya Kand, Balakand, Aranya Kand. In fact, the name is intuitive. If you apply yourself a little bit, the name is intuitive. Balakand. Bala, I'm sure if you understand this much Hindi, Indian languages, Bala means Balak, means childhood, right? And we're talking about the childhood of Rama when he's born in Balakanda. Okay. One more question and we will jump into the session, right? In which kand Rama killed Ravana? In fact, that was the purpose of 7th avatar of Vishnu, which Rama was, right? And he accomplished the purpose of his existence in which kand? In Yuddha Kand. Again, the name is intuitive, right? Okay, that was wonderfully played. Let's see how did it go. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Can I identify who is Bharti? Just for curiosity. Can Bharti identify herself? Bharti is a little shy to celebrate the victory. Anyways, okay. But yeah, I think normally we do large Ramayana Olympiads also, right? Where we do 50 questions, and just to, because I'm sure what I'm talking about in this session is the lessons from Ramayana. But again, for that, we should know the basic facts of the story, right? So that because the story itself is so intricate with so many small, big details. Okay. Okay, so let me establish, we're talking about Valmiki Ramayana because there are various other Ramayana. There are Tulsi Ramayana, there are Adhyatma Ramayana, there are Kalidas Ramayana, there are Kamban Ramayana. And you will be surprised, guys, that various other countries have their Ramayans. Do you know that? Thailand, a Buddhist country, has Ramayana as its national book, right? Can you imagine that? And it's called Ramakian. It's Ramayan basically, but they call it Ramakian. A Buddhist country have Ramayana as their national book. You all know Indonesia, right? 90%, 88, 90% population follow Islam. They have their own Ramayana, right? It's called Kakawin Ramayana, right? So similarly, Sri Lanka has a Ramayana, Philippines has a Ramayana, right? In India, different states follow a different version of Ramayana, right? Kamban Ramayana, Adhyatma Ramayana, right? As I said, Kalidas Ramayana in Sanskrit, Tulsi Ramayana in Avadhi. So it seems there are almost 300 plus Ramayanas and still counting, right? So many translation. But normally for a scholar, the original version, Valmiki Ramayana is the source. It has 7 kands, 645 chapters. Chapters are called sargas and 24,000 shlokas. Balkand, Rama is born and Rama got married to Mata Sita, right? So all the characters are introduced in Balkand. All the 3 important characters, Ram, Lakshman and Mata Sita, right? Ayodhya Kand, Ram was about to become a king, but with the trick of Manthara and Kekai, he was exiled, right? So Ayodhya Kand, just remember, Balkand, he's born, Ayodhya Kand, he's exiled, right? Aranyakand, they're already in jungle, they've passed almost 13 years of, out of the 14 years of Vanvas or exile, Mata Sita got kidnapped. Mata Sita got kidnapped, right? Okay, in Kishkinda Kand, he was looking for a partner to search Mata Sita, and he got a partner in form of Sugriv and Hanuman. And we are also traveling geographically. So I'm sure if you understand geography of India, Balkans happens in Ayodhya, which is today's Uttar Pradesh. Ayodhya Kand, again, it moves on further down to Chitrakoot of Uttar Pradesh. Aranyakand, the kidnapping happens from Panchwati, Maharashtra, right? Kishkinda Kand, we are already in Karnataka, a district called Bellary in Hampi. Sundarkand, now as we are going overseas, right? We are going to Lanka to search Mata Sita, right? And Yuddhakand also happens in Lanka. So Sundarkand, Hanumanji search Mata Sita, and Yuddhakand, there is a war between Ram and Ravana, and Rama wins the war. Okay, in my class, I use a lot of tools. That's for another occasion, right? So let me take in next 20 minutes or 15 minutes, 2 of the incidents from Ramayana and see can we infer something out of it, right? So let's pick something from Balakand. And you know, this picture which you see on the screen, I clicked myself, right? And the pictures from Ayodhya, right? I keep going there. So artist was painting it, and you know why Ayodhya and the temple that is going to come up now is known for, it's from the Bal form of Ram. It's called Ram Lala. You must have heard this term, Ram Lala. Ram Lala means the baby Ram, the small Ram, right? Otherwise, it's not so common to find the baby Ram art, right? Ram is normally shown in pictures, Maharada Purushottam Ram with his he's standing with bow and arrow, right? Right. In fact, the baby form of Krishna picture is quite common, right? And in fact, if you delete bow and arrow and add a peacock feather and maybe a flute and maybe flow some butter around, right? This picture will turn into a Krishna picture, right? So yeah, this is the pillar at the entry of Ayodhya. So if one of you, one of you travel to Ayodhya, this pillar will greet you, right? In fact, I tell all my participants in the thousands of workshops that I've done, make it a life goal. whichever part you are living in, that one Deepavali you should celebrate in Ayodhya, right? Is it an interesting life goal, right? Yeah. And from last 4 years, right, since Yogi Adityanath is the chief minister, uh, the Choti Diwali, we call it, the day before Diwali, is celebrated, oh my God, amazingly superbly, right? It's like an international event now, right? The international guests coming last to last year when the travels were allowed. The first lady of Korea was there, right? And then there are Ram Leelas from all parts of the world, from Indonesian Ramayana, Malaysian Ramayana, Indian Ramayanas, right? It's a huge event. They light some 500,000 oil lamps on the ghat. Oh my God, it's like a just say they call it Deepotsav pictures on Google, and you will get lovely, amazing. So I think that's a moment that you want to capture with your naked eyes at some point in life, once the world is back to its original stage where we used to see people in person, right? Okay, okay. So in Balkand, Ra- Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughan were born, right? Their first teacher was Rishi Vashishta, and their second teacher was Rishi Valmiki. Rishi Valmiki was taking them to jungle to eliminate Talaka, Marich, and Subahu. Why Talaka, Marich, and Subahu? Because Talaka, Marich, and Subahu were disturbing the rishis, the scientists, in their pujas, right? So they took Ram and Lakshman. Okay. Now, Ram and Lakshman was about to face the first crisis of their life. Do you know what crisis was this? Was it Marich? Was it Talaka? What is Subahu? Or what is Vatapi? Which Rakshas Ram and Lakshman faced the first time in life? Because till now they were in nicely in their palace, in their father's palace, which is called Dashrath Bhavan. They were nicely living there, but Vishwamitra ji, their second guru, are taking them to jungle. The first crisis they're going to face. All of you, please participate. If you're lost where to participate, on the top of the screen, see this www.menti.com and enter this code. This will be constantly coming on all my screens. Go to this link and enter this code so that you can participate. And I also get a sense. Okay, I think, yeah, 60% of you are correct. It's Talaka, it is, right? And now I want to ask you how you handle your crisis. Imagine you are in New Delhi. Imagine you are in New Delhi and you have a flight to catch to US back, right? And there are four of you. The tickets costed you $10,000. And what will you do? If you get a ticket, traffic police ticket, it will cost you how much? $10, $20 maximum, right? So it's a fight between $20 and $10,000. And don't give me a goody answer. Give me a, like, what will you really do? Touch your heart and tell me, what will you do? It's a fight between $20 and $10,000. You break the red light, you'll take a wrong U-turn, you'll overspeed, or you'll follow all the traffic rules and miss your 10,000 worth rupees flight, and you have to go back to US urgently, right? Okay. So if I can call you my modern Rams and Sitas, so my modern Rams and Sitas, only 9% of you will follow the rules and 91% will flout them anyhow, right? Because $10,000, right? Yeah. And let's see how Rama handled his crisis, right? The first crisis. See, Ramayana is a text, a gold standard on morality. Right? It's not a text on utility, right? What is the best utility? It's a gold standard on morality. So let's learn from Rama that how we should handle crisis, right? So Talaka, the crisis standing in front, the personified crisis, right? And Vishwamitra ji says, okay, Rama, go ahead and eliminate Talaka. And Rama take the choicest of the arrows and just pointed at on Talaka. And he was about to launch the arrow. He says, no, I will not kill Talaka. And Vishwamitra ji says, why on earth, boy? Right? This is the purpose I brought you here. He says, no, she's a woman. I can't hurt a woman. And Vishwamitra ji said, you are right. Even I teach the same to my disciples. And then there is a conversation between Ram and Vishwamitra. And the crisis standing in front, Talaka will not wait for too long. If not you, she will attack you, right? And Vishwamitra ji says, you're right, my boy, and I'm so happy your morality is still on in the time of crisis. But Talaka is only in the body of a woman. She doesn't have the qualities of the woman. She doesn't have the compassion a woman have. She doesn't have the motherhood feelings the woman have. She kills children. She kills women. She kills men. She kills sadhus. She kills rishis, right? So it's okay to eliminate her for the larger dharma. It's almost like the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna, right? A mini version of that, right? Right. And then when the when Rama got morally satisfied, then only he launched his arrow, right? Right. And a beautiful lesson emerged: uphold highest of the moral standards even in the time of crisis. Even in the time of crisis, right? And Rama, not only Rama, different characters: Rishi, Rishashringa, Dashrath, Bharat, Jatayu, Mata Sita, Lakshman. They keep teaching you some lesson or the other, which is relevant even today after 14,000 years. That's why this text is phenomenal. That it's like time tested, like at any point of time. That's why like so many countries are still following the legend of Rama. In fact, under Yogi Adityanath, the current UP government is doing a beautiful project. They call it Ramayana Encyclopedia, and they're finding the legend of Ramayana in various countries, in their dresses, in their food, in their dance forms, in their culture, in their song, anyhow, right? Any trace of, and they've already found 100 countries which has a legend of Ram. Let's say I was talking about Thailand, right? So Thailand still have kings, right? They have elected governments, but they also have a king. And you know what are the kings called? Kings are called Rama 1, Rama 2, Rama 3, and the current king is Rama 10, right? Right, and that's the legend of Rama even outside India, right? In fact, you will find this interesting. Just before the lockdown, like I was traveling to Madhya Pradesh to a Ramayana conference, and in the evening there was a cultural event of a Ramayana ballet by Indonesian group, right? And there were 7 in the group, and 6 were Muslim, 1 was Christian, and I was like quite intrigued. And it seemed this group in Yogyakarta, which is a place in Indonesia, is performing the ballet from last 43 years, every single day. In fact, in India, there is no Ram Leela, which happens every day, right? I don't know what they're doing in Corona times, but again, before Corona, right, they were doing it every single day. And after the performance, I went to them, and I was not able to hide my curiosity that you guys follow Islam as a faith. How come you have such elegance to a text of Ramayana? And they very simply told me that Islam is my faith, but Rama is my hero. Rama is my culture, right? And that was quite profound for me, that how Ramayana has traveled because of the character of Rama beyond boundaries and beyond even religions, right? Okay, so uphold highest of the moral standards even in the time of crisis. Let me show you some Ramayana tourism. So Ram and Sita comes back after marriage to Ayodhya, and you'll be surprised. Someone gives them Kanak Bhavan, and this is the picture I clicked myself. Again, in Ayodhya, I keep traveling there. Kanaka means gold, so that's why this palace has a shine of a gold. That's why it's called Kanak Bhavan, right? And can you imagine who gifted this to Rama? Who gifted this to Rama? You'll be surprised to hear Mata Kekai gifted this to Rama, right? Why I'm saying surprise, because you'll get to know that later she did something quite nasty, right? Under the influence of Manthara, right? So, but again, she gave, so they were living in Dashrath Mahal, and after marriage, they started living in Kanak Bhavan, Ram and Sita. Okay, so let me pick out one more incident. From Ayodhya Kand. From Balakand, we are moving to Ayodhya Kand now. Okay, so Rama was chosen as a king. Now Dashrath want to move on, and the whole council comes, a lot of kings come, a lot of people's representative come, and all of them together decide that Rama should be made the next king. And the next day, Rama would have been anointed as a king. The whole city is happy. They're distributing flowers, sweets, clothes. They're deciding what to wear tomorrow, right? Because it's Rama's coronation. They all love Rama madly, right? So they want Rama to be the king like sooner than later, right? And just a day before, Kekai and Manthra conspires, and Kekai asked for these two boons, two promises, which Dasharatha has given her long back. And she says, make my son, my biological son, Bharat as the king. And she's not happy with only that. And she says, send Rama away to jungle for 14 years. Right? Right? And can you imagine? You are made the, what do you say, college union president, or you're about to become the college union president or the CEO of a company, and you are selecting which dress to wear tomorrow, what will be my opening speech, right? Well, perfume I'll wear. You're deciding all of that, right? And you'll get to know, okay, boy, let alone be the president, you're fired from the college, right? Right? It's almost the same situation, right? But he's fine. He's fine. But again, Dasharatha has to decide what to do. What to do? Shall I agree to Kekai's demand or not? Because if I agree to Kekai's demand, I will lose my son for 14 years, or maybe I will not even live that long. So I'll lose my son forever. And not only that, Ayodhya will lose such an amazing king. He's a chosen king. How can I just follow the whims of Kekai? Right? What shall I do? Tell me, imagine you are King Dasharatha, and you have this oral promise to Kekai, which you have given like many years ago. No one knows about this promise. It's not a written promise. No one is testimony to this promise. And she asked for these two very weird demands, right? And in the process, Ayodhya, you will lose your son. You will lose your son, and Ayodhya will lose such an amazing king. Tell me, touch your heart. What will you do? Really do? What is the practical thing to do? Right? Can you just follow whims of Kekai because she just wanted, and you will push out a chosen king to Vanvas? Because you will not only lose your son, the city, the empire will lose such an amazing king, right? You can always say, Kekai, okay, I honor the promise, but again, ask something sane, right? You can't just work on your whims. Okay. Let's see what Dasharatha did. This is the modern Dasharathas are 50% decide, 50% tilting here and there, right? But okay. The modern Dasharatha said, promise is a promise. Promise is a promise. And we have to walk the talk. And there's a very famous chaupai in Tulsi, in Ramcharitmanas and Tulsi Ramayan, Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Pran Jaye Par Vachan Na Jaye. Right? That this is a tradition in my dynasty. Raghu was one of the kings, and he quoted one of his ancestors. He says, it's a tradition in my dynasty that we are ready to give our life, but we are not ready to go back on our promises. He said, I know I will lose my son, right? In the sadness, I may even die, right? Ayodhya will lose such an amazing king. But if I will not follow the promise, who will? If I will not follow the promise, who will, right? And to set the precedence of a promise, right? That's why I said Ramayana is a gold standard on morality, right? And I call, like, today's society is a CCTV society, right? We are behaving good because there's a CCTV watching us, because there's a police watching us, because the government watching us, right? Not that we want to behave good, right? And this was a society which was considered old-fashioned, right? Which was for which promise is a promise. If you just check with your lawyer friends, that in any court, half of the cases are breach of agreement cases. And the written agreements, right? I and Vijit enter into a contract, and then we are settling each other in the court, right? But here there's no written promise, Vijit. Shiva, here is no written promise. There's no written agreement. It's just a verbal promise. There's no testimony to that promise. So if he go back on the promise, there was nobody who can check him. Well, he's such a beloved king. Even Dasharatha was a very popular king, right? And even no one wants Rama to go out, right? So no one will bother. Everybody will favor Dashrath, but just to establish the legend of a promise, he said, no, with a very heavy heart, I have to follow the promise. Now touch your heart and tell that don't we break like so many promises within a day, let alone like a small promise, big promise to our parents, to our friends, to our siblings, right? Don't we? Right? And that's the legend of promise. That's the importance of a promise they have put. And a chapai like this, prana jai par vachan na jai, right? And I'm ready to give my life. See, we don't need a court and a policing system if the society is like this, isn't it? Right? Because currently, as I told, we are behaving good because there's a CCTV, because someone is watching me. That's why, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, similarly in our sessions, when we do a longish 10-day workshop, we go incident by incident, right? We deep down it and then unravel each character, right? So yeah, let me come out of this and just show you the geography of Ramayana, which is one of the important things that I put in my session. So it starts from Ayodhya, right? And during the Swayamvar, the Sita Swayamvar, they go to Janakpur. And then during the Vanvas, they go to Prayag. The earlier name was Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh. Then Chitrakoot. Then Panchvati, from where Mata Sita was kidnapped. And then Kishkinda in Karnataka, where they met Sugriv and Hanuman. And then they came toward the Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. And then they come to the tip of what do you say, India, so to say, right? Because now Hanumanji was about to swim across the ocean to find Mata Sita, and this tip is called Dhanushkodi. Dhanushkodi, right? Can you all pull your Google Maps and do something very interesting for me? Can you pull your Google Maps on your mobile phones and try to find the distance and go to Google Maps and from say Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh, and in the destination say Dhanushkodi. Dhanush, Dhanush, and Kodi, Kodi, Dhanushkodi, Tamil Nadu, and try to find the distance. This is the maximum, like the whole Vanvas start from Ayodhya and ended in Dhanushkodi, Rameshwaram. This is how Ramayana details it, right? And then you have to answer me this. That you have to answer. Find on the Google Maps the distance between Ayodhya and Dhanushkodi. If you're struggling with the spelling, look at my screen. Okay, so it's almost about 2,400 kilometers, right? Why I've asked you to do so, that's also help you to establish the historicity of Ramayana, right? All these places which are mentioned in Ramayana, if you find the distances, they're valid still in your Google Maps of today, right? The places, the distances, and with the same detail it mentioned in Ramayana. So in fact, you can take the snapshot of this screen, and try to find other distances also later, right? Yeah. Okay. Tell me, now we are panning out of the session, who's the most inspiring character for you in Ramayana, right? Which you can relate to, you want to learn from, you want to be with that, like that character, right? You want to share with me? Okay. All of you, I see almost 30 of you. All of you, please participate. And you know where to go? Go to www.menti.com and use the code. Just see the top line on my screen. Okay. If many of you will write the same name, Menti will make it look big. So if Hanumanji is looking bigger, means many of you have mentioned it, and the same spelling, of course. Okay. And yesterday it was Hanuman Jayanti. Okay. Now I want to invite some of you, and please unmute yourself. Please talk to me. That why this character which you have written? Anyone?
I put down Hanuman.
Why
I think
Vishnu? Why Hanuman?
I want to learn how Hanuman is so dedicated to a person or a cause, and like unwavering kind of dedication towards that.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
inspiring.
And you know, when we say partnership between Kishkinda, Sugriv and Hanuman, there was no partnership with Hanuman. Hanusham was like an eternal friendship. Yeah, for Sugriv, there was a win-win partnership. Like I will help Sugriva to get his kingdom back and get his wife back, and in turn, Sugriva will also help. But as you said, Rama was Hanuman's loyalty was unwavering, right? Any big problem, Hanuman was the solution. You have to search Mata Sita, Hanumanji. You have to cross the ocean, Hanumanji. You have to get Sanjeevani Booty, Hanumanji. You have to attack major soldiers of Ravana's army, Hanumanji. Right? Okay, beautifully said. Anyone else? Someone who's written Sita, someone who's written Kumbhakaran, someone who's written Lakshman. Please offer. Come. Speak to me.
Namaste, Shantanu. So this is Sachin. The reason I choose Lord Rama because selecting your soldier is one of the important quality of Lord Rama. No one in the world would have think about selecting Sugriva and Hanuman to rescue the Sita. So I think choice was out of box, and in a modern days, no one would have thought about it actually.
And there is one more significance that to Sachin. You can imagine who is Rama. Rama is like a son of a big king. Like Kosala Empire has an influence almost whole of today's India, right? So if I can use the word, he's like a son of a politician, big politician, right? So you can imagine that he knows every kingdom across India, right? So he could have easily hopped kingdom to kingdom. He never should have lived in one jungle. And okay, he's living in jungle, but after the Sita's kidnap, that's an extraordinary situation, right? You can suspend your Vanvas for some time, and by the time almost 2.5, 13 years of Vanvas is already over. So you can go back to Bharat and say, okay, get me your army. We have to attack Ravana. We have to get Mata Sita. And Mata Sita is not only Rama's wife; she's the queen of Kosala, right? She's kidnapped. But he says, no, I will not dilute my Vanvasa dharma. I will find similar people, because Sugriva is also exiled from his kingdom. And then I'll anyone who's underprivileged, right? I will tie up with them and then make their glory shine, right? And that's why the choice is even more important, right? It's not that I will tie up with high and mighty, because the fathers of his mother, Kaushalya kingdom, all of this was around, where from very near to where Sita Mata was kidnapped. And he, as the son of big King Dashrath, knows everyone by first name basis, right? He could have taken anybody's help even then, right? Anyone else? I want to hear someone who wrote Sita and Bharat, please. Anyone else? Why Mata Sita? Yeah, go ahead.
Namaste, Shantanu.
Namaste ji. Whom I am speaking to?
Anirudh, I wrote Bharat.
Why Bharat?
Because of his love towards his brother, and he knew that even though he was the rightful heir to the throne after Ram was gone to Vanvas, he didn't accept it, and instead of that, he considered that he considered to keep Ram's Paduka on the throne.
Right.
And he knew that it would be secure with that as well.
Yeah. So, Bharat's sacrifice is like the epitome of sacrifice. You rightly said, Anirudh, right? And Rama is gone, Dasratha is dead, Lakshmana is gone, Mata Sita is gone. No one would have challenged Bharata's kingdom. But what did he say? And KK was saying, okay, son, I've secured the kingdom for you. And Bharat says, no, I don't deserve it. I'm not the rightfully chosen one. And if I'll not deserve it, I will not even desire it. I will not take which is not mine. Right? And he went to jungle in Chitrakoot. They met, the Ram Bharat Milap happened. He said, I will get my brother Ram back. And he went with whole of Ayodhya almost. All the mothers, all the sages, all the courtmen, a lot of public so that someone will able to convince him, right? And there's a beautiful conversation between Ram and Bharat. It's a very emotional conversation, right? Rama is saying, Bharat is saying, Ram, brother Ram, you have to come back. You are the deserving one. People have not chosen me. People have chosen you as the king, right? And Ram is saying, no, I have to fulfill my promise. And you go back, right? Do you see two people, two brothers today, that you become the king or you become the king? No, right? Today is like, let me get it, whatever I can get, right? Right? And finally, the solution is, Rishi Vashishta suggests that solution. Okay, let Rama be the king, but let Bharat be the representative. And Bharat said, okay, that's a nice solution. And Bharat also said, when Ram, Lakshman, Sita are living in the jungle, I will also not live inside the palace. He went to a village called Nandigram and he has set up a hut there, and he lived there for the next 14 years. And he said, these khalaus, these padukas, these sandals, the slippers of Rama will be on the throne, and they will give me motivation for the next 14 years, right? That's the height of sacrifice, right? Like you have your kingdom and kingdom of Kosla, mighty kingdom of Kosla in your plate. You're saying, no, I'm giving it up because I don't deserve it. The rightful owner is Rama, and I will just be the representative for 14 years, right? That's what I'm saying. Story after story, character after character teaches us, right? Anyone else? One last contribution. Maybe someone who has written Sita, a very strong character, my personal favorite. Lot to learn from Mata Sita. Anyone from Mata Sita? Yeah, go ahead.
I chose Sita
Okay.
because
Why?
being a so strong woman,
Mhm.
she's still like when Ravana took her to Lanka, she didn't fight. She stayed there and she waited for Rama to come and rescue her.
Yeah. So Sita is part of the Panch Kanya group, right? The 5 strong women of Indian history, right? Draupadi being other one, Tara being other one, Mandodari being the other one, right? But again, she's a very strong character, right? And the various things that we can find out, let me point out a couple of them. I'm sure you all know the exile, the Vanvas was only for Rama, right? Sita and Lakshman chose to come along, and Sita said, I want to be with you in your happiness. I want to be within when you are not, you are in challenging times. And this is in fact one of the vows in Indian tradition of marriage today. When we marry, we take a couple of vows, right, across the fire. And this is one of the vows which Mata Sita taught us, that I will be with you in your happiness, I'll be with you in your sad days. And yeah, Sita Mata went along. And then when she got kidnapped, she was very clever also. She dropped her ornaments, if you remember. She dropped her ornaments so that someone can trace me, that where Ravana is taking. Can you imagine someone is getting kidnapped, right? And you have this presence of mind to do this trick. Extraordinary. And when during when she was kidnapped for almost 8-9 months. That quite a time, right? By the time Rama came, the army came and the war started, right? For 8-9 months she was away and in Ravana's captivity in Ashokavana, right? And one day Ravana appears and say, enough is enough, now you have to marry me, right? And you know what is, and how Valmiki Ramayana described it. Sita is not even looking at Ravana. She's talking like this. Like, see, imagine I taking the session like this, right? Quite a disrespect, right? If I take the session like this. She's talking to Ravana like this, like, okay, who are you types, right? And he said, hey, Ravana, why don't you go and ask for touch Bhagwan Ram's feet? He may forgive you, right? Can you imagine? Like, you are kidnapped, man. You are kidnapped. You are surrounded by your demons. Ravana is standing in front. And you have to say, okay, can you go and ask for forgiveness? Can you touch Rama's feet, right? And Ravana is rattled, right? I'm giving you 2 months, otherwise I will eat you in my breakfast. Exactly. Breakfast means morning food. There was no term breakfast then. But again, yeah, but that was the audacity, there was the braveness of Mata Sita. So thank you for saying that. Okay, let me move on. So I think my point was to from every character, like so much to learn, right? One of the important tools that I use in my session is to kill the Ravana within, right? And to my understanding, we all have Rama inside us. We all have Ravana inside us. We have Rama qualities. We have Ravana qualities, right? And what Ramayana teaches us, can we keep identifying our Rama qualities? Can we keep identifying our Ravana qualities and keep decreasing the Ravana qualities and keep increasing the Rama qualities, right? Right. So let's say for me, I formed Ramayana school a couple of years back. I was doing a lot of sessions, but physically, right? I was going to colleges, schools, institutions, and doing it, right? But physical classes have their own limitations. You can't like travel every single day of the year, right? And a lot of my friends were pushing it to make it online, but I was a little lazy, because for online you have to create a lot of tools, because online has its own paraphernalia, right? And then Corona pushed me to do it online, because I had some commitments to, and I think that was not the right reason to go online, right? Like I was just almost pushed. So I want to kill that Ravana in front of so many of you globally of procrastination, right? And I invite some of you, if you're brave enough to kill your Ravanas today on the occasion of Ram Navami's week, right? Any one of you want to kill your Ravana today? Who is the brave one? I know it's difficult to accept in front of so many people, and that's the rule. Nobody will quote this after the session. Nobody will say, oh, you already said so in that session. Anyone? Otherwise organizers have to volunteer. If no one. Anyone? I will not move if at least one Ravana. Also no Ravana, everything's perfect with all of you. Nothing. The perfect people, Ramas and Sitas, are in Penn State. No problem at all. I think, yeah, the voice is coming till here. It just has to come out. It's getting stuck here, I think. Yeah. Come on. Okay, Anirudh is articulating it already in his mind. Oh, come on, guys. Don't be kids. Come on. I'll send you the video of one of my sessions with the kids. They are ready to kill their Ravana. They say laziness. They say, I will listen to my parents. I will drink milk. Go ahead, bhai.
Yeah.
Tell me. Who
Hello,
is the one? Who is? Con. I'm not able to see.
Yeah, I'm Ritvik Minhas. Yeah.
Okay, Ritvik, I saw you saying. Ritvik Minhas. Yeah, tell me, Ritvik.
Yeah,
Thank you, first of all, to volunteer.
So I basically feel that I need to destroy that. I feel I lie pretty much at several occasions, knowingly or unknowingly, but I think I need to be more honest with myself and in my decisions and with people.
Yeah, and Ritvik, all of these 27 people lie more than you, and I can vouch for that, and including me. Only thing, you are the brave one to just say it, right? Yeah, I think he very rightly said. I think we lie. Some things, it has become part of us, right? Yeah, I think, and I'm sure you guys are not parents. I'm a parent, right? And children just follow you. So see, imagine I'm driving a car, and I'm telling one of my friend on call, sorry, I cannot come today because I'm sick. But my kid is listening. Okay, you are not sick. You are driving car, right? Yeah. So I think we lie throughout the day, small lies, big lies, right? Sometimes we think, oh, that's strategic. But again, if you see, and that way, Yudhishthira was an amazing character in Mahabharata, right? And all the Pandavas are pissed off of Yudhishthira, Even for saving Pandavas, he's saying, no, I cannot lie, right? Even for the larger cause, he's saying, no, I cannot lie, right? And that's why the characters, that's why we're talking about Yudhishthira. These Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, these are not known even after 7,000 years of Mahabharata or 14,000 years of Ramayana, because they were the most practical people. No, because they were gold standard on dharma, the gold standard on righteousness, right? And that's why they have to be followed, right? Anyone else able to identify some small Ravana in some corner, maybe? I know you don't lie, only Ritvik lies. Rest of you never lie, I know. Right? Any one of you able to find a small one, maybe? Little one? I know you are perfect guys. But a little one, maybe? Here and there? No? Okay, maybe you can. Oh, do we have? Yeah, maybe you can write. This is easy, right? And I will not even get to know who will writing what, right? So it's like anonymous. Uh-huh. Now hopefully I will get something. Okay, waking up late. Uh-huh. Anger issues, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, even writing, people are not volunteering. Guys, I will not even get to know who is writing what. Okay, being lazy. Anger and lazy. Lazy and waking up, I think together we can club. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. So I think these are on the surface, but I think literally, if you read Ramayana, you will be surprised. You will be surprised how the text inspires you. At many moments, like I'm doing this from last couple of years, I get like almost guilt moments, right? That I'm saying it, I'm telling it to so many participants, young and old. But again, am I doing it in my life? No. And it is giving me a regular assertion because the characters are like so good, so good. Someone like a Jatayu, someone like a Dashrath, someone like a Mata Sita, Lakshman, right? Bharat. And how they're treating Kekai even after her massive stupidity. They're not even bad to Kekai. Can you imagine that? The whole of the kingdom is not even bad to Kekai. They're ignoring her, but again, they're respecting her also. Right? Right? Mm-hmm. Right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Okay, let me move out of this learning of the framework. Is it a Valmiki Ramayana myth or history? While you're answering that, see, Ramayana provides you a very smart ethical framework to make choices. I'm sure you all will agree, that Bhavani and Dhruv and Shiva and Deepthi and Jaya and Manju, you all will agree that life throws us circumstances, right? And we make choices. Every day, every moment we make choices. You coming and joining this session 8 o'clock in the evening or whatever time there, late in evening, is a choice you made, right? I'm sure you have competing options. Or whatever you do, like small choices of what you wear today, of big choices, which college you'll go to, what you'll study, how will you react, whom will you make friends with, whom will you marry, whom will you not marry, right? Everything is a choice, right? Constantly we're making choices, right? And we have some framework in our mind to make those choices. Ramayana provides you a very strong ethical framework to make those choices, right? And also provides you a very strong base of endurance, right? In fact, India as a civilization is surviving, to my understanding, with the endurance taught by Rama. Like, we were invaded brutally by Islamic invaders, British invaders for thousands of years, right? And still we are the only ancient civilization. Rest of the world is very new. I was working in Switzerland for a bank, and one of my Swiss colleague once told me on a weekend that I'll take you to show you old monument, and he show a small castle-ish kind, and so, oh my God, this is 80 years old. I said, my grandfather's house in India is 80 years old. This is not a monument for me, right? In India, 80 years is not old, right? Like, our random temple is 200 years old. In like 200 year old, we don't even care much, right? Until it's like 1,000. Our eyes don't roll, right? Yeah. So in those 14 years, if you see what all he lost his kingdom. Rama lost his kingdom, right? He was about to become a king, then pushed out. Then almost 13 years into Vanvas, he lost his wife, right? Like colossal problems and crisis, right? Our problems are like quite small in front of him, right? He lost his kingdom, he lost his wife, and during the war, he was about to lose his life almost twice by the arrows of Indrajit, right? So you're losing your kingdom, you're losing your wife, you're losing your life. What bigger loss, man, can you have? Do you think our whatever problems are bigger than these three? Losing your kingdom, losing your wife, and losing your life, right? Even then, Ram never took a shortcut or a dishonest or an untruthful way, and in the end, he came winning. And that's the lesson Ramayana teaches us. That yeah, it took 14 years, but finally Rama we are talking about. Rama has temples, right? There is a court case on Rama's temple, and finally he won again, right? That case also took almost like a vanvas for long, right? But he never took a detour, right? And I also want to make in fact a bigger claim that a King Ram became Bhagwan Ram because of those 14 years of what he taught us and how he conducted himself, right? Do we pray King Dashrath? No, King Dashrath is a respected king, but not Bhagwan Dashrath, right? Do we pay any other kings of Ishwaku dynasty? Ishwaku, Harishchandra, Raghu, Aja, Lavkush? No, they're all respected kings. But King Rama became Bhagwan Ram or Sri Ram in that's 14 years of journey. What characters he has shown us, that even in the adverse condition in Vanvasa, he has shown a solid character. That's why Bhagwan Ram is Bhagwan Ram for us. Okay. Yeah. So one more question normally we inquire in classes is Valmiki Ramayana myth or history? And all of you say history. Do someone want to get into a conversation with me? How will you prove to a stranger, let's say a scholar doesn't understand Ramayana, he just reads it and says, it sounds quite a fiction, this sounds quite a fantasy, right? How will you prove to that person? What solid evidence will you give to that person that no, Ramayana is a history? Can someone engage with me? All of you said it's a history, right? But why? How will you prove it?
I think you already touched upon it earlier, where you had the map of India and the distance.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty real to me. So that makes me believe that it's history.
Yeah. So as Srishti, right? So as Srishti said, see, Valmiki cannot cook up so many places from Ayodhya to Chitrakoot to Panchvati to Ramtek to Kishkinda to Dhanushkoti to Lanka, and can make the legend survive even after 14,000 years. That's like quite a fraud to do if you can, right? It's almost like after like thousands of years, what do you call that? Universal Studios, right? Like someone will think, okay, Universal Studios is real, right? Like those places, Minions happened sometime or whatever those characters are, right? I went to Singapore a year or 2-3 years back. So whatever those characters, right? Like no one, like you can establish mammoth structures like Universal Studios, but you can't like make people believe they're real, right? That too for ages. That's one. That's one, that how legend can survive. Anyone else? Okay, that's from that point of view. Because where we become weak, we as civilization, because the whole Western world is largely, their history is dependent on archaeology. Like we also done a lot of archaeology, but see, archaeology is that way limited science because like you can't dig up whole of the country, right? So let's say Professor B.B. Lal, who is one of the very famous one who did the excavations in Ayodhya, he says, I can find Mahabharata limbs from Meerut. You know Meerut? Meerut is a town in Uttar Pradesh, which is nothing but Hastinapur, right? But Meerut, like I don't know, the population must be easily 2 crores, 1-2 crores, right? 1 crore. If you understand what is a crore, crore is how much? 10 raised power 7 zeros, right? You can't move all the people and say, okay, I want to dig it for some time. Can you remove all your houses? I want to dig it to find. You can't. First of all, it's expensive. It's mighty expensive. And now you can't destroy the existing cities, right? That's why we are not able to prove archaeology wise, right? As I told you, my Swiss friend told my this fort is 80 years old, because for us nothing is 80 years old. Things are like 2,000 years old, 5,000 years old, and there are layers after layers after layers. So we have to find surrogates to find, right? So one surrogate, as Srishti said, is the legend itself. What can be the other surrogates? Right? Have you heard this name, Dr. Nilesh Oak, by any chance? Dr. Nilesh Oak. He lives in, I think, Atlanta. He is Indian, living there. And he has done a beautiful inquiry based on the position of stars given in Ramayana. So out of 24,000 shlokas, there are 500 odd shlokas which has a mention of a star position. So let's say Ram and Lakshman are walking and they say, oh my God, X star is moving faster than the Y star and X star is in this direction. Because When they're going in the jungle, they are finding the direction and ways based on the star positions. And what Nilesh Oakes did, he has mapped all this 500 star position on the modern astronomy softwares. And he found that this kind of arrangement star in the matter of 14 years can only happen at one particular time, which is almost 14,000 years back. How rock solid scientific is that, right? Right? So you need a lot of such inquiries, right? When I read Valmiki Ramayana, okay, tell me, some of you Harry Potter fans? Any Harry Potter fans? Or you are too old for that? Okay, Srishti, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
So tell me Harry Potter's father's name. Arey, what kind of fan are you? Don't know his father.
Hold up.
Okay, what is his father's name? Like Harry Potter's father's father? His father's father's father? His father's 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 father?
His father's name is James Potter.
Okay, his father's father's father, then James Potter's father. You don't know, right? Because they never told you. J.K. Rowling never told you. And why will she tell? Because she doesn't want to bore you, right? She doesn't want to bore you. She just want to know you about Harry Potter, maybe his father, maybe Maxim his father, right? But in Ramayana, there are 44 people described before Rama, right? And that part literally becomes boring, right? So meaning it's a documentation. It's not written for entertaining someone. Who in the right mind will write 44 people before your main character in a fictional text, right? Right. I'm an author. Do I write non-fiction? But again, as an author, so nobody will do that, right? And at this point, I just want to tell you that the Indian text is organized like this: Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means listening, and Shruti Parampara is Vedas and Upanishads, and Smriti Parampara there is Itihasa. And Itihasa, we have only two Itihasa: Valmiki Ramayana and Veda Vyasa Mahabharata. Even Tulsi Ramayana is not Itihasa. And why? Because there is a definition to Itihasa. Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam. Purva Vrittam means it happened in Purva. It has happened in past, means it's a history, but is narrated as a story, Katha Yuktam. And one more rider to it. For a text to be Itihasa, there are three riders. One is it should have happened in the past, meaning it's a true story. It should be narrated interestingly as a story, not like a dry documentation. That's why Ramayana has a dry documentation also, and elements of good story narration. And the purpose is not entertainment. The purpose is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The purpose is the reading of the text should give the reader the elements of dharma, elements of artha, elements of kama, elements of moksha. And then the text becomes itihasa, right? So then I think if you know this scholar called Rajiv Malhotra ji talks about this non-translatables, right? So every word, like Atma is not soul, right? Like a dharma is not religion, like history is not itihasa. They are closest translation. English is a language, is also a function of a civilization, right? If you have not experienced anything in your civilization, which is hardly 200, 300 year old, you will not even discover a word for it, right? So a civilization which has limited experiences cannot give the word for a civilization which have massive experiences, right? Like Indian civilization. So that's why itihasa is not equal to history, though it can be a close translation, right? For itihasa, for a word, we have a definition like this: Purva Vrittam Katha Yuktam, and for the purpose of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Right? Okay, I think I have taken more than the time was given to me. Sorry, Vishit, if I got a little emotional, because I think this is like Ramayana text, Mahabharata texts are very close to me, and in my TV debates also I try to bring the text, because to my understanding, this is a live text. This is running through it. India, as a country, is surviving Islamic invasion, British invasion, and a Corona invasion, right? Through this endurance, right? Okay, yeah. Now back to all of you, or if you have a moderator, go ahead. If anyone, if you any question on what I told, or generally on Ramayana, or generally on anything, right? On Indian scriptures, Indian text, Indian history.
We are open to any discussion or any questions if anyone has right now.
Anything which makes you feel uncomfortable, okay, I believe in Ramayana, but this fact doesn't reconcile. Or in like Mahabharata also. Mahabharata, I'm not as deep a scholar as Ramayana, but yeah, I have a decent engagement with Mahabharata also. Or anything, what I have told or what you generally, because I've just touched the like 2-3 points, right? Because Mahabharata is a massive text. The credit course that I take with HUA or the other courses that I do in Ramayana school, they're at least 5 session long or 10 session long.
So, Shantanu, this is Vijay. I just have a
Vijay,
question.
hello Vijay. Yeah, Vijay.
So, we are talking about Tulsi Ramayana and all this. I heard like there are 100 to 200 different Ramayanas which go in
300
India.
people. Yeah,
300 different Ramayanas.
Yeah.
So, do we have any evidences where exactly the Valmiki Ramayana is, or did anyone see it? Or
The original manuscript, you said?
yeah.
So, we don't have the original manuscript. We are not even sure was it written or not, because we are part of Vijay, a oral tradition, right? Though Itihasa was part of Smriti. Remember, I've shown you Shrutis and Smritis, and the Smritis could have been written. So Mahabharata, Ramayana could have been written. There is a school called it's called in Gujarat, Baroda College, and they do like finding out what exactly today's Ramayana is, what exactly today's Mahabharata is, right? And what is the later edition. So in fact, a lot of people ascribe the Uttarkand is a later edition, right? But again, someone like a Nilesh Hoke say Uttarkand is a later edition, but by the same author, like Valmiki himself. So yeah, I think but to your question, we don't have the exact manuscript, but if we would have if we could have the manuscript, I think that's the best proof, because you can do the carbon dating and you can find out. So we don't have the manuscript. 14,000 years back it was written. We don't have the manuscript of that time, but again, yeah, it was passed on. And then see, as you said, not only the word has like calamities like corona or calamities like any other thing, any meteor, I think we have discovered ourselves as a human race many times, so right, things have not remained as they were, right? So yeah, we don't have the original manuscript, but again, yeah, the oral tradition passed on, and then we scripted it again.
Thank you, Shantanu.
Yeah. I see 200 Bhavani and Ritvik. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Shantanu for the insightful session. I don't really have a question, but I wanted to inquire something that if I want to look more details on each kanda and want to gather lessons that I can apply in my daily life, so where can I look for that?
I think first thing is you attend any of Ramayana school sessions. So allow me to sell my course. That's one. Second is, as I told you, ValmikiRamayana.net, right? But yeah, that's a detailed text, all 24,000 shloka by shloka, meaning by meaning. But again, the starting of every sarga, they have given a small brief of that sarga. So sargas are mean chapters, which are 645. So I'm just reducing your work from 24,000 to 645, right? So at least that can be a starting inquiry. If you can just read the summary of every sarga in ValmikiRamayana.net, that's a good. Otherwise, Rajaji, if you know Raj Gopalachari, he was one of the politicians in India. Like he died long before. His commentary on Ramayana is amazing. His commentary. Bibek Debroy, economist in India, I think he's Prime Minister's team currently. He's also done beautiful work on Ramayana and Mahabharata both. Right. So Bibek Debroy, Rajaji, their commentaries.
Shlok, no.
Right. And originally ValmikiRamayana.net. Right. Or even if you know IIT Kanpur, they also have a beautiful website. Is Valmiki? You will find out IIT Kanpur Valmiki Ramayana. You will find out the website. So these are the some 3-4 very good resources.
Thank you.
Bhavani, please go ahead.
This question is really specific, but like everyone mentions that Ramji always followed like the path of the moral code. I just want to know what his thought process or understanding was when he killed like Bali the way he did.
Very interesting. So Bali Vad, we call it. The killing of Bali and Mata Sita's Agni Pariksha and exiles are the two most debated incidents, Bhavani, in whole of Ramayana. And good you pointed out one of it, right? So I'm sure you all know that Ramji killed Bali hiding behind a tree, right? And that's your that's what's troubling you, Bhavani, right? And why you hiding behind a tree, right? And it's not that you and me has to be convinced, at least Bali should be convinced, right? And that's a beautiful conversation when Bali is dying, the arrow here on the heart, and he's dying, and he has a conversation with Rama. That's one of the most logical conversation in Ramayana, right? And Bali is asking, okay, you killed me, but why? And why hiding behind the tree? He asked two questions, Bhavani. He said, why you killed me? We don't even know each other, right? To have animosity, we should at least know each other, right? Then only we can develop love or animosity, right? At least we should know each other. I just see your face and say, oh, I want to kill you, right? This cannot happen. And that's a very logical question of Bali, right? We have not even met, and you want to kill me? And why hiding behind a tree? If you're a warrior, come in front and have a fight, right? And Rama gives three reasons. I call them 3 J's, right? First, he gives a justification, a plain justification. He asked Bali, have you ever hunted in the forest? He said, yes. Have you ever hidden yourself behind a tree or a rock to kill your target? He said, yes. He said, do you agree hiding behind a tree is a valid war strategy? He said, yes. He said, okay. So then I used a valid war strategy. Bali said, I'm not even bothered about like why you hidden yourself, right? I should be alert enough for the arrow coming from any direction. So I was not alert, I killed. But why you killed me is a question that is troubling me, right? And then he went on to the second J, 3 J's. One is justification. The second J is jurisprudence. Do you understand this word jurisprudence? Jurisprudence is basically art of justice, right? You have to establish the guilt. In any courts of law, first of all, they establish the guilt, right? They establish that what is the punishable crime that you have done. So then you establish the guilt and the punishable crime, that you have taken the wife of your brother, and how heinous a crime it is. They call it Anuj Bharya. Anuj means the younger brother, and Bharya means the wife. And there's a multiple shlokas they've dedicated that how heinous a crime this can be. And that's why Ramayana established the sanctity of relationships beautifully, right? That what is the meaning of your brother's wife to you? It's almost like your daughter, right? And Bali himself get convinced that how heinous a crime I have conducted, right? But Bali has a super logical question, Bhavani, again. He said, okay, I know I've done a crime by taking my brother's wife, but who are you to punish me? I've done a crime. Maybe Sugriv has a locus standi to punish me. Maybe Ruma was the name of the wife which Bali has kept. Bali's own wife was Tara, and Ruma was Sugriv's wife. But Ruma can punish me, but who are you, right? And then come the third J, jurisdiction. You understand jurisdiction? Like, so Pennsylvania governor has a jurisdiction over Pennsylvania, right? President of United States has jurisdiction of United States of America, right? Jurisdiction from your boundaries till the rear, your governance has effect, right? And then he talks about jurisdiction, that how the kingdom of Kosala has jurisdiction over a large area for the matter of justice. A lot of kings consult them for justice, and I'm still the king of Kosala. Bharat is just my representative, he says, right? And because I want to establish dharma in whole of in the area where I have my jurisdiction, the Kosala kingdom of my jurisdiction, I will make sure that anyone who commits adharma should be given the punishment. And then he justifies it by justification of hiding behind the tree, of establishing his crime, and then telling why it comes under my jurisdiction. And that's how, and Bali got convinced. It's not that you and me should be convinced. Bali got convinced, in fact, so much so that he says, I'm feeling so much good that I'm dying in your hands, right? And he says, Angad and Tara, Angad is his son and Tara is his wife, that be the part of Sugriva's and Rama's army for their mission, right? Can you imagine, like, after getting Angad and Tara, they then help Sugriva and Rama in the search of Sita and the fight that follows. One more small trivia: Tara was the part of army all along. So woman being the part of army is Indian tradition from like people now say, oh, women are getting into army in America or Israel or India. That's not a new thing for India, right? Women were part of army like from donkey's years in India, right? Thank you, Bhavni. Thank you for asking.
Please go ahead, Sridhar.
Yeah, Shantanu ji, namaste.
Namaste.
The question is again continuation. Why? I mean, after the killing of Wali by Lord Rama, so again Bali was given to Tara was given to Sugriva. So it's kind of a uncomfortable to me. So
yeah, Tara was not given to Sugriva. In fact, Bali itself says, like, yeah, now because that was a Bali's not of direction, and it's a kind of a mutual agreement. There was nobody's dictum on someone else. It was that that Sugriva is on Dharma's path. I'm not on Dharma's path. He's siding with Rama, and so you be with Sugriva. You be with this kingdom. You will be in the path of. So that was Bali's suggestion on Tara. It was not forced upon Tara. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anirudh. And then Sachin.
Namaste, Shantanu ji.
Namaskar.
So my question is, we celebrate Hanuman Jayanti. Jayanti is something we celebrate. It is a celebration of birth anniversary after someone dies. And Hanuman is immortal. Then why do we say Hanuman Jayanti?
Beautiful. Beautifully asked. First of all, I'm very happy that you guys are inquiring. So yeah, I'm saying I don't have a concrete answer for this. So in fact, if you follow Nilesh Oakji's dating, a lot of this dating of Ram Navami and Hanuman Jayanti doesn't even match with that. In fact, that's a larger inquiry to going back very smartly in the history to find out when exactly it started, right? The Ram Navami on Hanuman Jayanti. But again, there is no pakka rule, there is no hard and fast rule that any Jayanti has to be celebrated only after someone dies. It's just a birthday. It's like a birthday, right? It's a birthday celebration of someone who is at least not available in flesh and blood in front of us, right? So yeah, it's a celebration so we can take inspiration, right? But again, interesting inquiry, at least to find out that when the tradition of Hanuman Jayanti of Ramcharitmanas started, right? Let's say this festival called Ganesh Utsav, right? Very popular in Maharashtra, now in various parts of India, outside also. It became a grand event very recently. Like Ganesh Utsav was always there, but it's a grand event that you will come out of street, big statues, then the big Visarjan, and a lot of it started very recently, right? During the independence movement of India. And in fact, that became a very prominent event in the independence movement of India to gather people, because it's very easy to gather people around a festival, right? And Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh has a major role to play in how Ganesh Utsav is celebrated today, right? Yeah, so that's interesting inquiry that one. So that's something. Ramayana itself, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Indian scriptures, it's a field of study in itself, right? That's what I'm saying. A lot of you can become Ramayana scholars, Mahabharata scholars, right? And do these inquiries, and you will find the answers, because we have massive text available to do these inquiries. Sachin ji.
Sachin ji.
Namaste, Shantanu ji again. So my question is, in the Valmiki Ramayana, is there any mention about?
Sachin ji, I lost your voice. Is there any mention?
Yeah. So my question is that in a Valmiki Ramayana, is there any mention about the sacrifice done by Urmila, the Lakshman's wife?
Yeah, there is not to a great
Lakshman
length,
was away
but
from her
is.
for like 14 extra years. He didn't mention.
Yeah. So there is. So imagine. So what is happening? So the exile is given to Rama, right? We all know this. Exile is only for Rama. Then there is a conversation where Sita says, I want to be with you in your good times. I want to be in your challenging times. So Sita says, I want to come along. Rama says, no, it will be tough life in jungle. We don't know where to sleep, what to eat. Don't come. But Sita says, no, I will come along. Then comes the conversation with Lakshman. Lakshman says, I cannot live here without you, and I have to make sure that you are in whatever comfort I can give you during 14 years. Then Lakshman says, I will not be. Now when Lakshman is saying, Lakshman's wife also come along, that okay, that will be injustice to me, that if I will stay here, let me also come along, right? And then Lakshman says, no, 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 no. You have to take care of people here in Ayodhya, right? Because by the time there's almost a camp, right? Like Ram and Lakshman being monk, because the kind of behavior KK has exhibited, Lakshman was not sure that how they will treat Kaushalya and Dashrath ji in future, right? So, so you're right, and I think we should keep pointing to characters like Urvashi, because if I can use the word, in the grandness and bigness of Rama, Lakshman, Sita, Hanuman, the characters like Urmila get lost, right? And though there are some shlokas dedicated to Urmila, but again, it's good to point out that these are called almost like a silent contributors, right? At least Lakshman's contributors and Sita's contribution is known, that okay, the exile was given to Rama and Sita and Lakshman chose to come along, but Urmila, being away from her husband, lived 14 years just to take care that all the other ones remaining in the family are okay and they are well taken care of. Yeah. So yeah, thank you Sachin ji for asking that, and so that we were able to spend time on the character of Urmila.
Yeah.
Any concluding remarks, Shantanu ji?
I think I'll just again say that Ramayana, Mahabharata, both are amazing texts, and Gita. If you add these three of it, in your adult life, you can not only read, if you can master these texts, right? That should be one of your aims, right? Not only so that you can become articulate and talk about it. That's one. I think that'll be so much good for you for any moment. As I told, I think I was talking to Bhavani or someone, that life throws circumstances on you, right? Every day, and you make choices. And there's some framework based on your upbringing. You use some framework to make those choices, right? Because choices are good, bad, ugly, all of them, right? Very interestingly, Sambhavi, you will realize in Ramayana, whenever a character is taking a choice, he's not taking between good and bad, because good and bad is an easy choice, isn't it, Sambhavi? It's a very easy choice. I'll go for the good. In Ramayana, there is one good, another good, good one, good two, and that's a difficult choice, isn't it? To make between two competing goods, right? So shall I follow Parivar Dharma by being good to my wife, or shall I follow Raj Dharma by being good to my people? Both are competing dharma. To be good to your wife is a valid dharma. To be good to your public, maybe even a bigger dharma. And then he made a choice that, okay, I have to go with Raja Dharma and send Mata Sita to exile. A lot of people may criticize Rama, but again, there was two competing dharmas for him. That's why in Ramayana, there's always a competing dharma. As Balivat, someone asked, right? There's a competing dharma, always, right? And when you develop your psyche, your framework, by learning about these competing dharmas at every moment, your own choice making, your own decision making will become very smart and very dharmic, right? Similarly in Mahabharata, right? And Gita. So that's why these three texts, there are Vedas, there are Upanishads. If you can do all the inquiries, amazing. But at least these three texts, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all the more because they're in the form of story. Remember, I told you, Purva Vritam Katha Yuktam. They have a katha in it. They have a story in it. So it's a lovely read, right? So do follow these scriptures. If I can be of any help in taking a group along, it's a longer inquiry. We can form a group and do weekend by weekend, and there'll be and then I think you'll make your own group of like pass on. Like India is an oral tradition, right? Though written sounds okay, we think we are very smart. Like a year back, we were all very smart, right? COVID has proven that, okay, no man, like your face is shut, you're shut inside the house, you're just by a small virus, you're all like all superpowers to whatever powers, you're all locked down, right? So that's why India has invented a super smart oral tradition, right? And that's why Ramayana, even though someone has the original manuscript is not surviving, the same shlokas in the same rhyming, in the same scheme is still surviving today. So if you think we can gather as a group and Saturday, Sunday, we can do this inquiry in detail. And more of the questions come, I'll be happier, right? Because those inquiries should start coming. And every inquiry, what you ask is a PhD thesis. I'm not joking you. It's literally a PhD. One DPhil, one PhD can be done, even one of them, right? And I'll invite all of you that a lot of you said you're second year students. Sophomore is a second year student, right? Yeah, that's not a term quite used in India. So yeah, you are first year, second year students. But again, why don't you take Ramayana studies as your studies in future and do a PhD, Mahabharata studies? Read Dr. Nilesh Ogji's work, read other works, right? There's a lady called, what's her name, Indrani ji from Trinidad and Tobago. She has done research on Ram Leelas, that how Ram Leelas has formed in different parts of, Ram Leela, right? The theatrical form of Ramayana, right? How it has shaped the culture of different countries. Ramayana Encyclopedia project by Uttar Pradesh government, the traces of Ramayana in different countries. The Ramses of Egypt are nothing but the Rama, right? So there are a lot of inquiries. So we, Pennsylvania Hindu group, can gather as a group and we can go through weekend by weekend Ramayana inquiry, Mahabharata inquiry, Gita inquiry. If not, like self-study, Swadhyay, you should take it as a life goal, right? Yeah, I think that's my last thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shantanu-ji, for such an amazing talk, and waking up so early in the morning. Vijay-ji, can you put up the poster?
That's my normal routine also, though. Yeah, I miss my yoga pranayam routine. That's the only thing.
Sure. Thank you so much. I thank everyone for joining tonight. And on May 1st, on May 1st, Temple Hindu Yuva will be conducting their Ram Navami celebration with Surya Gayatri. So do join if you can, and please register on the link. Thank you again, and Shubh Ratri everyone.